congressional approval to attack Syria, and what happened more than 100 years ago that made history off Newfoundland. From the CJAD 800 Traffic Center, what's going on, Kira Yeager?
Luciano, we still have a police operation of some sort going on right now. It's on the 40 westbound, Metropolitan westbound at L'Angelier, and they're blocking the right and center lanes. There's a number of police vehicles over there. Now, Transport Quebec is saying that this is a road safety operation. So simply, you will have to slow it down in that location. I am seeing a slowdown of around 5 or so minutes in the area. There's also a slowdown occurring out in Saint-Lambert. It's on the 132 westbound. We have a closure at Boulevard Décarie this weekend, and so there's a detour set up. So that's backing up to almost the Victoria. It's a good 20-minute delay. Head over to Taschereau right away to avoid that. Did you know that the 2018 Chevrolet Silverado was named Best Pick by Protégez-vous? If you want to make the best pick, visit ChevroletOffers.ca. Traffic and transit every 15 minutes on CJAD 800. Next report 1:15.
In the news, BC Premier John Horgan says he still wants to block expansion of a pipeline between his province and Alberta. He told the media this afternoon his meeting with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Alberta Premier Rachel Notley did nothing to end his ongoing efforts. Horgan, Notley, and Trudeau met today on Parliament Hill in hopes of finding a solution to the impasse which is threatening to kill the project.
It has been my view that it's the responsibility of the Premier of British Columbia to be vigilant, to ensure that we're not just protecting our environment, but we're maintaining a positive and diverse and competitive economy. Our marine economy is considerable. Our wild salmon stocks are depleting, but yet there is considerable economic activity when it comes to our oceans. When it comes to our majesty, as you all know, it's a beautiful place to visit. Our tourism industry would be severely compromised with an adverse diluted bitumen spill.
Horgan says Trudeau laid out legislative and financial measures to push the project forward, but did not elaborate. Reaction from Syrian Canadians is mixed following the U.S.-led airstrikes against Syria's government following a suspected chemical weapons attack on civilians. One Toronto resident says too many governments are ignoring the atrocities in her home country, and Canada should take more of a leadership role in ending the conflict. But others say foreign aggression isn't the answer. A rally is taking place this afternoon at Phillips Square downtown against the attack by the U.S., Britain, and France against Syrian targets. On CBS's Face the Nation, Virginia Democratic Senator Tim Kaine says the U.S. airstrikes against chemical sites in Syria were illegal because President Trump didn't have congressional authorization.
President Trump is not a king. He's a president. He's supposed to come to Congress to seek permission to initiate a war.
A gay rights lawyer who fought for same-sex marriage set himself on fire in New York City in an environmental protest against ecological destruction.
It was a grisly scene here in Brooklyn's Prospect Park as the charred remains of 60-year-old David Buckell, who set himself on fire using fossil fuel, were found early Saturday morning by people out enjoying the warm weather. The New York Times was sent a suicide note. In it, Buckell said, "My early death by fossil fuel reflects what we are doing to ourselves and that he hoped it might serve others." Buckell was the lead attorney in a lawsuit involving Brandon Tina, a transgender man who was murdered in Nebraska. Hilary Swank won an Academy Award for her portrayal of Tina in the 1999 movie Boys Don't Cry. Julie Walker, New York.
It was 106 years ago today that the Titanic struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic on its maiden voyage and sank south of the Grand Banks of Newfoundland. Nova Scotians are gathering today to remember the roughly 1,500 passengers and crew who died in the tragedy, 150 of whom are buried in 3 Halifax cemeteries. Cable ships were dispatched from Halifax in the aftermath to retrieve bodies from the water when it became clear only those who made it onto the lifeboats had survived. Send tips and photos to your story at CJAD.com. From the Dormiville Weather Center, periods of light snow this afternoon, gusty northeasterly winds up to 50 with a high of -1. Periods of ice pellets this evening, changing to freezing rain overnight, gusty winds, temperature steady near -4. For tomorrow, freezing rain, gusty winds, a high of -1. Temperature right now in Montreal, -2 degrees. I'm Luciano Kiki. Next update at 1:30. Breaking news as it happens. News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
The opinions expressed in the following program are provided for general information purposes only and should not be construed as advice from CJAD 800 or Bell Media. Listeners should always consult their own real estate agent with questions or concerns. The following is sponsored content.
Northeast Mortgages presents The Real Estate Show with Chantal Desjardins and Terry Kilakos, live online and on CJAD 800.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Real Estate Show. That's Terry Kilakos wearing his winter toque because it's winter
freezing.
out.
Oh my God.
Why is it still cold? Why is it winter?
I don't know. I had the bright idea last night of going to Cornwall.
Oh,
With a yeah.
Was the rest of Canada booked?
No, I wanted to go to Walmart at like 8 o'clock at. Yeah, I did.
This isn't a joke?
No, 7 o'clock at night. We finished dinner, and I was like, let's go to Cornwall, to Walmart.
There's no Walmarts here open after 7?
No, there's no Walmart here open past 5 in Quebec because whatever.
idea.
I'm not going to get into Quebec politics, but that's
Like, did they just shut down? I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you went to Cornwall.
So I went to Cornwall and came back to a snowstorm. So that was
Moral of the story: don't go to Cornwall. That's Terry, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker and Walmart aficionado. Myself, Chantal Desjardins. Terry's been we've been off for a couple of weeks. I was going to say Christmas, but it feels like Christmas. We had Easter and Passover, and you're on like a world tour. What are you doing now? I see you on stages all over.
Yeah, I had a couple of events this week. I was actually in Ottawa on Wednesday, and then I ended up filling in for someone that was supposed to give a mortgage conference on Thursday in Toronto. After I finished up on Wednesday in Ottawa, they were like, "Can you be in Toronto tomorrow?" And I was like,
Yeah. And
okay,
what are you
let's do
doing?
it." It's basically talking to investors about real estate and how to be able to qualify and kind of all the fun stuff, stuff that we talk about here
Right.
anyways, but
You're doing it there.
yeah,
You're
just
spreading
doing
the
it in
love
front
all
of
over
people.
the country.
Trying.
We can spread the love to you guys. Call us with any of your real estate questions, 514-790-0800, or text us at 514-800. Today on the show, we got a juicy one: sex, drugs, and death. What you need to know about the house you're buying. Sounds scary and sexy all at the same time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we'll get to that in just a minute, but a lot's happened in the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's been
market
it's been
update.
quite. Yeah, I was actually looking at the market updates and I was like, oh my God, I can like seriously do like an entire show 100% just on market updates this week, but we'll try and kind of condense it down and not bore people too much with news and stuff.
It's never boring.
So the big news, I mean, yesterday I was on Ken Connors.
We've been off a few
I was going to
weeks.
say like Ted Bird. I was going to say like
Right.
a whole bunch of different names there. Anyways, I was on with Ken Connors yesterday morning talking about Valerie Plante's new program that she announced on Wednesday, which is pretty cool. We've always had kind of tax credits and stuff like that for first-time home buyers, but she actually put in a program this week to support kind of people that are buying properties in the core. So basically, she put aside about an annual budget of about $21 million. And she's putting together a program for people that are buying in the downtown core of anywhere between $5,000 to $15,000, depending, on the price and location of when you're buying. You're going to be getting a tax credit back, which is pretty cool. Now, the one thing I got to say is I saw an article yesterday, and for the life of me, I can't remember where I saw it, but it was one of the newspapers, and you guys got to be very careful about what you read, because I ended up having a whole bunch of clients texting me saying, "Oh my God, is this true?" And the headline said, Valerie Plante does away with welcome tax in Montreal.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, she's
Oh.
not doing away with welcome tax. She's giving tax credits. Okay, so the old program that used to be around was between $2,250 and about $5,000 that they were giving. Now it's been raised to about $5,000 to $15,000. The highest subsidies at $15,000 are going to be for people with families with children or with disabilities, and it's for new built dwellings that are going to be in the downtown core, valued up to $450,000. So it caps out at $450,000. The reason why they're kind of doing that is just because the value of the properties obviously in the downtown core are higher, so obviously they want to give a higher subsidy. Now, I was looking at some of the threads that people were talking about on the Montreal Gazette's website and stuff like that, and I saw this picture on Instagram this week, and I'm just going to talk about Donald Trump a second, okay? Because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I think it's going to illustrate a point. And there was a big sign, and it said Donald Trump cures cancer, okay? And you see him there, he's thumbs up, and a big headline on top. And then the next picture, you have all these picketers going, bring our cancer back, curing cancer is racism, and there's all these kind of things. And it doesn't matter what he does, he's going to be at fault, and it doesn't matter what Valerie Plante does, or it doesn't matter what any politician does. You're not going to be able to make everyone happy, unfortunately. And I was looking at the threads, and they were basically talking about how it's terrible, and she's supporting people that are able to pay for houses, should be supporting people that can't, and blah 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 blah, and just going on and on. What people are failing to realize is that when you start to bring people back into the downtown cores, which is what she's trying to do, you're going to actually find that businesses are going to get better, right? So all of a sudden, if there's families coming into that core, back into the cities, instead of going out into the suburbs, the restaurants are going to do better. The shops are going to do better. Everything just kind of gets better.
And traffic, because there's not going to be as many people heading out to the burbs. Exactly. So you end up having reductions in traffic. The 13 starts to kind of free up. The 15 starts to free up.
So it just ends up a little bit better. If we look at the West Island right now, where the majority of people are kind of going to, I'm talking about majority of Anglos, whatever, but if you look at the West Island, or if you look at Laval, where the young families are actually gravitating towards, I dare you to go out on any day of the week to any restaurant, and it's going to be rammed. You're going to need reservations. When we moved to the West Island, we wanted to go to this little, Chinese food place, and I pile everyone inside the car. I'm like, okay, let's go, guys. And we're expecting that we needed reservations. Show up there, and I'm like, table for 5? And she's like, oh, no. You made reservations? And I was like, no reservations.
Oh, wow.
She's like, okay, it'll be an hour. And I was like, really?
As a downtown dweller, I wouldn't have even pictured that out in the burbs. That it would
in
be
the burbs, it's crazy.
Because there's so few restaurants that everybody goes.
There's a lot of restaurants.
Oh.
Yes, and they're packed.
Wow.
They're packed. Yeah, absolutely.
I thought when you move out, that's when you settle down, you cook all your meals at home. And
yeah, you would think so, but no, that's not what's happening.
All right.
So it's actually very interesting, and if anyone's just watching Facebook Live, they just saw me spill a whole bunch of coffee on myself, which was pretty cool.
That's the reason you should go to Terry Kilakos' Facebook page, Kilakos, and tune in so you can see things like that.
So that's one of the announcements. You can also combine, don't forget, you can combine this with a provincial and federal first-time homebuyer tax credits as well, which is very interesting. Okay, so there's all kinds of little interesting kind of perks that are coming into being. Okay. Now that's that. Now we're going to go on to something that's a little bit more sinister in terms of news, and this has been in the news for a while. However, it did happen to someone that I know this past week, so I wanted to kind of shed some light to it, and it's the CRA scam that's been going on. I don't know if you've heard about this.
I have not been scammed. I've not been called.
Okay, so basically what happens is your phone rings, and you end up getting a guy that is on the other end, and he basically starts talking about how, he's from the government, he's calling from Canada Revenue Agency, and they're basically, they just concluded an audit on you, or they, noticed something that you did fraudulently in your notice of assessment, and that they're on their way to arrest you unless you actually pay what is owed.
Isn't that terrible?
It really, really, really is, and this is something that's been going on more and more. So, guys, Canada Revenue Agency, very important. When they call you, they are not going to call you and tell you, we're coming to arrest you right now if you don't pay us. Please send us a Western Union transfer.
I'm laughing, but it is really bad.
Yeah.
And it's bad for so many seniors out there that I'm sure would,
Absolutely. And what happens is they'll call and they'll be like, hey, listen, we need your social insurance number to verify your identity and blah, 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 blah. Do not give your social insurance number to anyone. Do not give your date of birth. Do not give your address. Do not give any personal information. If someone is calling you, they should know that why they're calling you. And if you think that it's the government, tell them, please send me a letter and I will call you back. Okay? Anyways, we have 10 seconds, I guess. And we'll continue our market update after the break.
We sure will. You're listening to Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. Call us, 514-790-0800. Text us at 514-800 or hit us up on Facebook. More on sex, drugs, and death, what you need to declare if you're selling, what you need to know if you're buying, and more. But first, a look at the roads with Kira Yeager.
Good afternoon. Well, we do have some issues out there right now, so we had ourselves a very quiet morning. It's gotten a little bit busier. I do have an incident to mention at around Anjou on the 40 westbound, and it's blocking the...
But I feel like seniors...
Everyone is getting scammed on it.
Is it?
Yeah, because these people, they're going to call you and they're going to be like, we know where you are, we know what you're doing, and you need to come and pay what so.
So many scams for things. Even, in New York, Ari's selling his couch. He's got like a couple $1,000 couch. He's trying to sell it, and he put it on like, Craigslist or all the things. Then you get these responses saying, "Oh, my husband can't log on to, the internet. Why don't you call us at this number?" And they write out the numbers instead of because you get, I guess, I don't know, somehow red flagged if you type out the numbers. And then it's like, "Oh, but if you just send an amount to this moving company, I'll refund you that plus the amount that I'm going to pay you on the couch." And then all of a sudden you send this money and it's gone, and it's just like, it's crazy. Or there's some sort of thing that you can send money, it clears, and then they take it back.
Yeah.
Just so many scams,
Yeah. There's a ton of scams. There's a ton.
And if you don't know them,
yeah.
Oh, look, we got calls all over the place.
Yeah, we're getting calls.
Woo!
I don't think you'll be able to go through a single...
I know, this is a juicy topic. This is a good one, which is too bad because there's so many good ones. We could always do this next week.
Yeah.
Some of the ones
you
that
might have to do a part 2.
Yeah. Because they are good ones. I wouldn't know some of the...
There is 2 calls and a bunch of texts. So.
Yep.
So we can attack that right away. Well, just maybe finish your market up here and then we can attack that right away.
But the most important thing people want to know, the carbs. Are we still cutting out the carbs?
No, I
what? We're done?
I'm done. I've calmed down on the carbs, but
okay.
I've calmed down. Yeah.
So now, are we still losing weight?
I'm stable.
Okay.
I'm.
Because some people, when they stopping carbs,
there's something fantastic. This keto diet, it basically
And what is it again? Keto.
Keto.
What is it? What is keto?
Hold on. Yeah. The keto diet?
Yeah. Give us a little, you had good success. I feel like you should give it a little plug. Why are you laughing? Why is everybody laughing? Didn't you have success on this diet?
I did have success. I lost almost 20 pounds.
Almost 20 pounds?
19 pounds and a half.
That's a lot.
I'll call it 20 pounds.
That's almost 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I would call that almost 20 pounds.
No, it was really good. It's hard. It's not an easy diet to do. Because everything has freaking carbs.
Yeah.
Like even drinking a coffee with milk inside it, there's carbs.
Right.
So you gotta drink, because milk has sugar. Right?
I would not have
lactose
pictured.
is a sugar.
Yeah, but there's carbs in lactose? I thought carbs were like grains, like bread and pasta.
Yes, that's type of carbs. But lactose also is a sugar.
You learn a lot on the real estate show, okay? It's not just real estate. You also
Are we
learn...
live? Oh my god, we're live. I didn't realize we were live this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing you weren't swearing.
Well, people are used to me swearing.
Yeah, I know. So, okay.
Yeah. So like I said, I lost 19, 20 pounds.
Yeah.
It was really good. So, what?
19 and a half.
19 and a half.
Let's be accurate. Okay. And so, but it's hard because now you're trying to minimize.
But I haven't gained any weight back.
That's great.
Even though I'm eating I'm not back to the way I was eating, but I haven't gained anything back. Although, you know what I did get this week, which was kind of cool? I got a teeter. Did you guys ever see that guy?
A teeter-totter?
Yeah, did you guys ever see that guy, Roger Teeter, on TV, where he's, inverts himself and then he jumps and he's like, I feel great. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Anyways, okay, so this guy, Roger Teeter, right? So he's the guy that created those tables, the inversion tables.
Okay.
Fantastic. It is honestly
Oh, sorry, I hate to drop the teeter.
Plug? We're back.
Real Estate Show. Terry Kilakos just telling us about the teeter. If you want to know more about the teeter, go on to Facebook and you can check it out live. president of Northeast Mortgages, chartered mortgage broker. Call us. We're getting a lot of calls right now. 514-790-0800 or text us at 514-800 talking sex, drugs, and death. What you need to know if you're selling your house, what you need to disclose, all of the disses. Let's start with Elizabeth in Verdun. Elizabeth, you have a question about trees.
Hi, Terry.
Hey,
nice
Elizabeth.
to talk with you.
Yeah.
Terry, I don't know if you have any information on this, but I'm sure you're aware that the city has decided that these elm disease and people have to either, first of all, treat and then secondly, cut down their trees. Now, the cost for a tree in what I'm looking at right now is $3,000.
Yeah, to
I
cut
have
it down.
only one, right?
Right.
So my question, I know this may be way out in left field, but I mean, it's part of real estate. Maybe, we should be warning people before you buy a house. You know, you have that big tree there that one day may have to be cut down.
Yeah.
Secondly, I understand that it could be diseased, but does the city have the right? I mean, they can cut it down if they want. I understand, but do I have to pay $3,000? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Imagine if I had 2 or 3.
Yeah,
trees.
so here's the thing, okay? So first of all, they're going to target specifically trees that have the disease. They're not targeting
No, exactly.
every tree. And when something is diseased, for the risk of spreading, they're going to ask you to remove it. They're going to ask you to cut it down. The city cannot come onto your property and cut down your tree. That goes against your rights as an owner. They will impose that you do it. Like, I'll give you a different example. Let's say you had a balcony or veranda on a property, and there was carpenter ants on it, and they were eating away at that, on those balconies, and there's a city inspector that passes by. They're going to say, well, you know what, there's carpenter ants here, and these need to be taken care of. You need to fumigate, you need to do this, you need to do that. And they're going to impose that you do that, right? They're not going to just say,
I understand.
It's the same. It's the exact same thing. Unfortunately,
Terry, I wish they would come and remove the tree at their expense. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they won't.
$3,000. They won't. A lot of money.
But you could. What I can recommend you do is you could call the municipality if you end up having this issue, and you could say, look, I don't have the money to remove it. Are you guys able to help me? And see what they say. I mean, they do have crews that go around and cut trees and stuff. My suspicion is that they're going to say, well, you're going to have to figure it out. But you just gotta go from that. Otherwise, if you don't do it, it's going to end up spreading. And the more it spreads, then there's going to be more problems on other properties and so on and so forth. And it's going to be a disaster.
I think Mayor Plant should have kept a couple of dollars in the coffers for things like this,
Yeah.
I mean, in my case, the tree is it's not touching any other trees, so it's not going to spread. But what I'm saying is that's a lot of money to tell people you have no choice.
Good point.
Yeah, it is a good point. It is a very good point. Unfortunately, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
It is what it's.
All right, thanks Elizabeth. Now we're going to go to Gary in Saint Constant. A question about home inspection. Hi, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Hi guys. I got a good one. We're selling our house. We made the deal last Saturday, and they had an inspection on Friday. And under the stairs, we have a cold room.
Yeah.
So the guy, the buyer's there with his inspector, and he looks. He goes, "That wall looks humid in the cold room. I'm out of here," and he leaves.
What?
Now we refused 4 offers last week. He paid, I think it was like $5,000 more than the last offer. And his inspector looks at me, his agent looks at me, and the guy left. He's new to the country for a month. But he goes, I'm an engineer. I know what that is. And I've lived in the house 15 years. We had zero wrong with this house. And he just took off.
That sounds
now
sketchy.
Up in the air. He's not answering calls or anything.
Is this the inspector or is this the buyer?
The buyer took off. The inspector was like, okay, I don't know what to do now. Everyone just left.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, when an inspection shows something, I mean, when you have an agreement to, purchase a home, right? And there is something that comes up on the inspection. So let's say the home inspector was to say, it appears to me that this wall is leaking and there's humidity that's coming in from this wall and it needs to be remedied. In your case, it's the cold room. Maybe it might be a basement. It might be from coming in from.
Basement, exactly.
No, but it might be, like I'm talking about like a finished part of the basement, not necessarily a cold room. At that point, the buyer that's purchasing the house could walk away from a transaction. I mean, there's, you know, it is what it is. It's their right to do so if they don't feel that they want to take on that risk of repairing what needs to be repaired. But they need that inspection report, right? They need that report. They can't just kind of say, well, I'm not interested anymore. I think that maybe what happened was he didn't want to pay his inspector and kind of walked away from it. But I would kind of pursue it, get the agents to kind of push matters a little bit more. Otherwise, just kind of move on to your next person. But make sure that if this guy's walking away from the transaction, make sure you get him to literally, how do you say it, demit, if you will, like basically withdraw.
His refusal or whatever. Yeah, but they can't get a hold of him, so we're kind of stuck now. We can't go to the other people that made offers because
Did he satisfy his condition for financing?
He's approved by the bank. He said he had $100,000 cash, and he was approved for the rest from the bank.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes.
You have the proof. Okay, so he satisfied his condition for financing, but he hasn't satisfied his condition for the home inspection.
Exactly.
Okay, so I would, you know, normally if he doesn't satisfy if he doesn't satisfy the condition, theoretically you can move ahead with the transaction based on that. But I would get him to demit from it because it sounds to me like he doesn't want to purchase the property. Have him actually withdraw his interest, and if you need to, just send him a registered letter. Or something like that, or get the agents to send him a registered letter. Unfortunately, Gary, these things do happen. There's some buyers out there, and just like there's sellers that are very strange people. I can tell you, you know, one of the reasons why we're having this show today, which is Sex, Drugs, and Death, is because of all the weird things that we see. And let me tell you, there's a lot of weirdness. And after the break, after the 1:30 break, well, you're going to hear some interesting stories where you're going to be like, okay, I get
a juicy one today.
Exactly. So stay tuned. Get your real estate agent really involved. Get them to work for their money and have them make sure that they do an amendment, basically withdrawing from the purchase.
Okay.
All right, Gary?
Thanks, Gary.
Cheers.
Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages, 514-790-0800 if you have questions. Text us 514-800. Hit us up on Facebook. We just got a text. Is there an age limit on this first-time home buyer subsidy? I'm 56 years young.
No, there's no age limit on it. It's for first-time homebuyers. The only thing that you have to remember is the tax credits will go to, like the higher tax credits are going to go to the ones that have families and young children and stuff like that. So, but no, there's no age limit. You can be 75 years old and buying a property, and you'll still be eligible for the tax credits.
Some good stuff coming up, including what happens if your house was a grow-up before?
Party time.
Coming up next.
The Real Estate Show is brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
Spoil yourself with a new Mercedes-Benz and get 3 monthly payments free from Mercedes-Benz Laval. It's celebrating the arrival of spring with 3 payments free on most 2018 models. Get a 2018 CLA 250 4MATIC demonstrator for just $489 monthly and drive payment free until June. Hurry in. The Mercedes-Benz Laval family is waiting to help you choose and to welcome spring in style.
Mercedes-Benz Laval. Welcome to the family. More details at Mercedes-Benz Laval.
At Lebeau, you enjoy the same quality standards as those of automotive manufacturers without jeopardizing your warranty.
I will just do one thing.
Do you want to do one more thing with the market update, or are we?
I do have one more thing on the market update before we go into the sex, drugs, and all that fun stuff.
I know, this is going to be like a 3-part series at this rate.
Just wanted to turn up the volume a little bit.
Perfect. A lot happening. But you guys are coming back for like 1 minute, or?
No.
No.
Oh, you're not.
We're done at 27 for the
news.
For the break.
Excellent.
Are you giving him special winks?
I am.
He's giving you special winks.
He's a sexy guy. I'm just impressed. I'm impressed as to how fast his hair grows.
That's what I said to him. Did you say that to him? He's got the fastest growing hair I've ever seen. He shaved his head like 3 days ago, and now it's like a chia pet.
He can't focus on the news with you there.
Luciano Papilla was trying to give me sign language, and I was trying to figure out.
What's up with this chair?
Is that the one that's going down?
Oh, it's a little
wibbly wobbly,
topsy-turvy.
Yeah, when Dan does the comedy show, he has all kinds of like It was
So
full of chairs.
Okay, so going back to my teeter.
Right.
Okay.
So it's a guy that made a thing. It's for Pilates?
No, it's not for Pilates. It's for back problems.
Okay, never
So
heard
I've
of
had
this.
like a neck and shoulder problems,
Right.
and there's this thing. It basically flips upside down, and you hang,
Okay.
and it stretches everything.
And the
The
blood all
guy's name
rushes
is
to your
Roger
head?
Teeter.
Okay.
And
it's-
his wife is Jane Todd.
I like it. I'm going to use that in my next comedy show.
No, don't use it. It's lame.
No, I won't. I
It's
probably won't.
super lame.
But anyways, so about this teeter thing, so what about it?
Yeah, it's been stretching his vertebrae.
Yeah.
If you
it
come
is.
into our bedroom, it's there, and it looks really weird.
Is that like an open invite to all our Facebook fans?
Yeah.
Like, if you come into Jerry Rath's bedroom.
It just looks really
Here, hold
weird to have this upside down
Right?
device.
Do you have it in your
I'll show
bedroom?
you.
You don't even have it like in like the exercise room?
So
No, it's
so-
in our bedroom.
So last Friday, right? So last Friday we're off for Easter.
Yeah.
And I go to the kids and everyone. I'm like, okay, guys, let's go. We're going to Fitness Depot so I
Oh
can
my
buy
God.
this teeter.
Yeah.
So we're about
Oh,
to.
you just bought it. So
Yeah, I
it's brand
just
new.
bought it like a
Okay.
week ago. So I'm like going into Fitness Depot, and I park the car right in front of the doors, and I'm about to open the door and go out, and I go to the kids. I'm like, hold on, before we step foot out of this car. So you guys have to understand. I have two young guys, right? So two young kids. One's 11, one's 8. They're sitting in the car, and I'm like, I look back at them, and I'm like, before we go in there, very, very important. They're like, yeah, do not touch anything.
Do not touch the teeter.
Yeah, I was like,
Any
do not
machines,
touch any
any
machine.
exercise
I was like,
Because
we're
you break
going.
it, you buy it.
No,
Oh.
it's because
You're
they're
gonna get hurt.
gonna get hurt,
Oh.
right? So yeah, okay, Daddy, no problem, right?
They touch the machines.
So we go inside. Murav, while I'm looking at the teeters, Murav is with them like 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Find the machine. I go to pay for it. I'm at the cash, and the guy goes to me. He goes, "Oh, you're Greek." He goes, what nationality is your wife? I was like, Moroccan Jewish. Oh my God, just like me and my wife. So we start talking to this guy for literally 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think maybe it was
minutes.
a minute.
2 or
okay?
3 minutes.
Okay.
Like the time that it's like, oh, cool, like whatever that.
Yeah.
Grab the box,
Yeah.
start walking out of the store.
And bam!
Hold on.
Oh no.
I get inside the car. I start loading the teeter inside the car.
Right.
And I look up at my son's face, the little guy, and he's bleeding.
No, he's not.
He's bleeding, like full on, like
What did he
just
do?
like here. I'll show you a picture.
That is so funny. You got to
Yeah.
show the camera too. 'Cause
I'm
now
gonna show
What
everybody
did he
wants to
do?
know.
What did he
So
do?
basically, what he did was he went on a treadmill,
Yeah. Smashed his face.
put it on like full speed, lost control, and went smack.
And nobody
into-
noticed?
No one noticed it.
Wow.
No one noticed it, and he didn't cry. He didn't do anything
So
because he
probably
was
embarrassed.
like, no, he wasn't embarrassed. He was like, oh my God, my dad's gonna kill me. So this is when I get inside the car. This is what he ends up looking like.
Oh, little man!
See that? Look,
Let's see if we can see it on the thing.
can you see it? It was like,
Poor little guy.
yeah, full on like carpet burn and everything.
Never mind.
No, we're not back.
Remember, this is the
That
fake
tricky
seats.
one.
And for those that are wondering what the teeter is,
Yeah.
I will show you. This is the teeter. It kind of looks like a sex swing, but it's
Oh,
not.
it sure does.
See that?
It looks
That's
a
the
little
teeter.
kinky for a PG show here.
See that? Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And do you find it makes a difference?
It is honestly the best freaking $300 I have ever spent
Really?
in my life.
So it just kind of stretches you out. It turns you upside down. What is it like? It just stretches out your spine?
Yeah, exactly. Stretches
Why
everything
have I
out.
never heard of this? And like it's better than like physio or chiro or
Awesome.
all the O's.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
All
It's
right.
amazing.
All right, I'll take
Yeah.
your word for it. I have friends. I was just with a girlfriend for brunch, and she was saying she's got major back pain,
Teeter.
and she's been going to chiro and physio
Teeter.
and osteo, and
Yeah.
maybe all she needs is a
I
teeter.
actually went to my chiro this week so he can readjust
Okay,
me.
this is another thing I want to talk about: chiros versus physios. I've always heard that chiros, they kind of like make you come back every week for the rest of your life. It's like, is that not true?
No.
They like crackety crack, and then like you're like addicted, and you have to come back.
It's like crack.
Right? Whereas like a physio's
become
like
a
they
crack
fix you and they
addict.
let you go, whereas chiro's like they make you stay there forever.
No.
Not true?
No.
I don't know.
You become a crack addict, I said.
You become a crack addict. Marav's on fire today.
Yeah, no. I honestly, I like my car.
Yeah.
But I did go to him this week so that he can adjust my neck and stuff. And I said to him, I got a teeter. And he's like, oh, that's good. And I was like, what's up with that look?
Oh, he doesn't love the teeter.
And he's like, no, I'm just going to mark it down. And I was like, why are you marking it down?
Yeah.
He's like, because I have to. And I'm just going to mark, I'm going to give you some exercise to do on it.
That sounds sketchy. So what? He doesn't, what's wrong with the teeter?
He's like, it actually helps people with back problems. And I was like, why didn't you freaking tell me this like 5 years ago? So for that, yes.
Ah.
Yes, people, I have back problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different.
What?
Back problems.
So, if you ask my wife, it's because I'm lazy. And
I was going to say, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
so we got a call. We got Leonard.
And we have a text. No, we don't have a text.
Text. And then you got a little more market update. We are just...
Let's just go. Let me just finish up.
I think this is not...
What?
I think this is not needed. You're done with this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe you just want to tell her which one of these are most important to you.
I think it doesn't matter. We can start from the top. But, no, I'll talk about that real quick.
Because you literally know.
I have plenty of time. It's all good.
Hi.
It's all good. Life's beautiful.
It's all good.
All right, my mom is trying to watch.
Oh, it's on.
Questions answered with Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. Here's your host, Chantal Desjardins.
The Real Estate Show here on CJAD featuring Terry Kilakos. Check us out on Facebook, on his page. He's telling us all the things about the teeter and the totter. If you want to know more, go to Facebook. Otherwise, we'll just keep going with real estate here. We've got Leonard and LaSalle. We're talking sex, drugs, and death, what you need to know when you're selling, what you want to know when you're buying. Leonard, what's your question for Terry?
My question is, I bought a condo, brand new condo, first time, me and my wife. We had our first daughter. She was just a few months old.
Yeah.
I applied for the City of Montreal. There was a first-time buyers program.
Yep.
We filled all the papers out. I believe we got the approval, but it was so hectic, we never followed through, so we never received anything. It's been 5 years. Do I have any chance of reapplying?
Wow. You never got any money back? You never got anything like that from them?
I think we still had to send them something. I did get an approval, but that's as far as it went. And I still have the hard copies, the letters they sent us.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would actually be interested to see what happens with that. My assumption is that you can probably still get what was owed to you from originally because you're entitled to it. I don't believe that there should be a limitation on that, on the timelines. But I would call them and basically just double check and find out what you need to do, what you need to finalize with them, just so you can get that done. But I'll be honest with you.
I really thought that maybe too much time has passed. But I did keep all the papers, and we did meet all their criteria for us. So I think it was to receive $5,000.
Yeah, Leonard, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, you're dealing with the city. So anytime you're dealing with the city for something, it's going to take forever. They're going to put you through the ringer, and there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of back and forth that has to happen. But you know what? Give it a shot. What do you got to lose, right?
To lose.
Exactly. So at the worst comes to worst, they're going to say, oh, too much time has passed, and sorry, you don't qualify anymore. But they might just come back and say, you know what? It's good, and here's your check for $5,000. We had gotten a subsidy when we first opened up our office in Ville Saint-Laurent for a sign, and it took them forever to get back to us. I think it was a couple of years, right, Marav? I'm just looking over at my wife. She's like nodding her head.
I really have nothing to lose, and it's worth trying.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. All right.
Great. Thanks, Leonard.
Let us know what happens, Leonard.
I will.
All right. Cheers.
514-790-0800 or text us 514-800 with your questions. We just got a text from Frank. Add this to your WTF file. In addition to demanding we pay for issues clearly outlined In the inspection report, the buyer's lawyer threatened to annul the sale as we did not tell his client that the adjoining house is a group home for intellectually disabled adults.
Yes, absolutely. And that is part of what we're going to be talking about today. What you need to declare when you're actually selling your home. Okay?
It's a juicy one. I don't know if we'll get to it all today.
No, I don't think so. I think we're going to have a second part to this show. Just want to remind people, because I didn't get a chance to mention this in the market update at the beginning. Don't forget, Bank of Canada rate announcement is going to be going on this Wednesday, April 18th. Now, the interesting thing is, inflation is up. We're at 2.2. Okay, so it's a little bit higher than where I would be comfortable with it. I would have been more comfortable with it being at around 2%. The Canadian dollar is low. So kind of indicators are telling me that there is a possibility that the Bank of Canada may be raising rates. However, the Bank of Canada has stated that they are going to be very cautious by raising rates this year. They were anticipating 2 rate increases. They've already done 1, so there will be another one that's going to be done at some point. When are they going to do it? Remains to be seen. The big question on everyone's mind is, do you go variable or do you go fixed? Based on this information right now, depending on what your variable rate is, if you have a really good one, minus 1%, something like that, you're good. Go variable, you'll be okay. If you're at a fixed rate and you're able to get a fixed rate that's in the low 3s, 309, 319, somewhere around there, you're better off going fixed because, and it's obviously, if your variable is not as attractive, so let's say you have a variable that's a minus 45, minus 50, that's going to get you kind of like in the high 2s, which means that if the Bank of Canada was to raise rates at all at any point, you're going to be over what you could have been. So if you're able to secure a fairly good 5-year fixed rate at 309 or 319, something like that, go for it. Take a fixed rate. Otherwise, look for a variable that's going to be at around -1, and that'll be able to carry you through for the next couple of years without any problems.
It's the voice of Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. So let's get to the juice here.
Yeah.
Sex, drugs, and death. What do you need to declare when you're going to sell your house?
Everything.
Okay, good. Moving right along.
We're done. No. Okay, so think about it, right? So when you're selling your house, it's very, very, very important that you declare anything that could potentially reduce the value of that property. So what are things that could, I kind of, we talk about sex, drugs, and death, right? As let me just explain where the sex comes from.
Yes.
So if you're buying a property and, I don't know, the neighbors are prostitutes, or you have a brothel next door, or if the building that you're buying a condo, and if the building that you're buying in has a whole bunch of prostitutes in it, well, you're going to have to declare that when you're selling it. Yeah, it's going to have to be in the declaration. And if you're saying, Terry, what are you talking about? There's no buildings like that. I have news for you. There's a lot of buildings like that.
Really?
Yes.
Like not just in like the hood?
No,
like,
no. So you end up having like this really nice building in a certain part of town, which is, maybe obviously it's not, we're not talking about Upper Westmount here, but we're talking about a property that might be a little bit hoody, if you will. It's a nice condo building, maybe new construction, and you go into it and you look at your place and you're like, wow, this thing is really nice. And then you find out that your neighbor is a prostitute.
No. How would you find that out? Would that come up in conversation?
Well, you
ask for a business card
and stuff.
Okay.
So it does happen, and that can actually that has ramifications on the cost of the price of the property, and it has to be declared. Now, the other thing, drugs. Was it a grow-op, the property? Are the neighbors, is the apartment right next to yours in a condo complex a meth lab? Even though your place is not a meth lab, you need to declare that there was a meth lab there.
I could see if it was in your place, the grow-op idea, but can't you just pretend you didn't know that the neighbor, dances go-go?
You can pretend, but if it's ever found out that you knew, you'll have a problem. And these things tend to get found out.
Yeah.
We've had, I've bought properties in Lachine. I'm one of those people that when I buy a property, I look at, dollars and cents, and I'm like, okay, does this make sense money-wise? And once I make the transaction, I just move on. I'm like the perfect buyer, by the way, because I'm like, I'll buy it.
Super modest, too.
Well, absolutely. No, but seriously, I'm going to buy something, and then whatever comes up, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll take care of it myself. I'm not going to go after the old landlord the old person, just because, they want to close that chapter in their lives, and I want to, close that chapter of buying that property. So I don't want to kind of keep rehashing it. And I'm not saying that I'll never go after someone, but if, you know, unless there's something, there has to be something pretty
like a
major.
meth lab.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
prostitution ring grow up.
I don't know, whatever.
All of the above.
My first property, my first fourplex that I bought, it was, you know, I had like the Hells Angels on one side doing a grow up, and the other side was a crack house. You know, I was okay with it.
Home sweet home.
Yeah.
More on sex, drugs, and death, what you need to disclose if you're selling. Coming up after this, Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. Call us 514-790-0800. Text us 514-800. But for now, here's a look at the roads with Kira Yeager.
Just getting word that in the on Décarie South in the Turcotte interchange in the ramp from Décarie South going on.
Here's a juicy story. I broke the button again.
How do you break something every single week? Here, my mom's trying so hard to listen, and she's like, I only hear music.
People don't believe it.
Okay, tell the story. You have a juicy story just for Facebook? While I call my mom in Winnipeg, try to like hook her up with technology. Mom, you unplug your typewriter. That's a good first step.
Well,
okay, take your rotary phone.
She only hears
music.
We
only have 1 second. Why are you hearing music? We're a talk station.
It's the wrong channel.
Are you hitting the CJAD app?
Tell her to go on the Facebook.
I didn't. So you're watching me live?
No,
you're not.
Facebook.
What's Terry wearing right now?
He's not wearing.
Listen how funny she is. Say it again. Here, say it again. What's?
We're on the line with Chantal.
Here, Mom, you're gonna be live. So what's Terry wearing?
A really weird winter hat. Didn't he know he was gonna be on TV?
My mom's not judgy at all. Linda, you're about to hear yourself on Facebook right away. If you keep listening, you'll hear yourself in about a minute. So
That's awesome.
I don't want to hear myself, she says. Okay, bye. Gotta go. I'm hosting a show. Bye.
All right, people. That was Chantal's mom.
That's Linda.
Yeah.
On the Facebook.
No, but seriously though, we did have a client who had an offer, everything was complete, and then they found out that the whole building was being used for prostitution.
Wow.
Downtown, right here.
So you're gonna tell that on air?
Sure, why
That's
not?
fine. That's the juicy stuff. You're giving the face like maybe not.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying.
It is juicy.
It is true.
That's
like
crazy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think of that except
and
in like
the agent knew right away there was something like that.
Because there was like there were poles set up all over the apartment, or
no.
Okay, all right. So check this out. Juicy story. So when me and Marav were looking for our country house a few years back,
right?
We decided to go to this bank foreclosure. Remember that place? Okay, so we go inside. I've said this. I feel like I've said this story, but anyways, whatever. So we go inside this place, beautiful house, right? We walk inside. I called it the Liberace house because everything was painted baby blue and gold. Okay, so
weird. It's a weird color scheme.
Yeah, so there was like gold and baby blue and whatever, all kinds of stuff. I don't know, Marav is pointing around.
No, dancing.
Yeah.
So we go inside the master bedroom, and it's like this big master bedroom that's overlooking the lake over there. And right in the corner, there's a heart-shaped hot tub.
Yeah, heart-shaped.
With a stripper pole.
In the tub?
Outside of the tub.
I was going to say, that's dangerous.
So
you're walking, you're flipping around, you got the soap.
Yeah, so you're basically like, you're in the tub, you're relaxing.
Yeah.
And then you have your stripper.
Just because she dances go-go.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome.
That don't make her...
My kids were like, what is that? Why is there a fireman's pole here?
Wow, and then you're
I
like,
was
don't touch the pole, kids.
I was like, it's to help people get in and out of the tub.
Well, yeah, it helps them. They have back problems, like
exactly.
Daddy.
It's like funny. Upper neck issues.
That's funny. Wow.
Yeah.
Good story. Good story. We should do this one every time. It should be just the sex, drugs, and death show on CJAD with a little bit of real estate.
Well, maybe you want to cover the death part because that's an important one. A lot of people
so where
have
do you
that
want to go
question.
from here? We only have a couple minutes left.
Number
There's
4.
a caller.
Yeah, so we'll do the caller.
Caller
and then we'll go
to
to
be
4.
disclosed.
And then we'll go to 4.
And then we'll go to 4.
Yeah.
And then maybe 5 also.
Because, we got a couple texts. So it said somebody screwed up and forgot what died. They just said, my died, natural death in the house. Real estate agent said it was because it was a natural death.
Oh, you see, so it's related to number 4.
Yeah.
Well, it's starting.
It's starting.
I'm
starting,
really
everyone.
going to say my needs.
is a juicy one here on the Real Estate Show. Sex, drugs, and death. What you need to declare if there's a brothel happening next door. But first, let's get to Maria in Montreal. Maria, you have a question about the inspection.
Hi. Good afternoon to the both of you.
Good afternoon.
Hi, I have a question for you with regards to estate sales.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my understanding is that when a home is sold as part of an estate, it's sold without warranty.
Yes.
However, for my own curiosity, I had a pre-inspection done.
Mm-hmm.
Am I obligated to show that pre-inspection report to the potential buyer?
Yes, because you have to remember one thing. Just because a house is selling without legal warranty, it doesn't mean that you are not obliged to declare certain things. I'll give you a simple example, right? I mean, let's say you know that there's a moldy wall, right? You know that there's a leak, the wall is leaking, there's fungus, and you can harvest mushrooms off it, okay? Like there's just a huge wall like that. And you decide, well, you know what? We need to sell the house. I'm going to scrape off all the mushrooms. I'm going to clean it with bleach. I'm going to paint it, and I'm going to sell the house, and I'm going to sell it without legal warranty, and nobody can come back after me for it. They can, because that's actually fraud, right? So you're basically, selling a property without legal warranty, you're basically saying, look, I never lived in this house. My parents lived in it. Whoever lived in it. I don't know what's going on in it. I'm selling it without legal warranty. It's at your risk and peril, and you move on. But if you know that there's a problem, like if you've done a pre-inspection and you know that there's something wrong with the property, it's your obligation to declare it, and you have to adjust the price accordingly based on that. Now, if somebody accepts your pre-inspection, then they can't come back after you for it. Make sense?
So, yes, it does make sense. So, just to be clear, if I show them my pre-inspection and everything's on the up and up, can they still come after me?
No.
No. Okay. Great.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Maria.
One other question. Do I have to disclose things that are related to bringing things up to code that are not obligatory? I guess
Yeah, I mean, they're also hiring like an inspector, right? But if the more you know, you want to kind of play ball with someone at the same time, right? You're going to price the house accordingly. If you're, I don't know, if you have rickety balconies that are going to fall off and, you got to bring them up to code, well, you have two choices. You can fix it yourself, and you can sell it with it being fixed and adjust the price like that. Or you could say, well, I'm going to leave it like this. The balconies are rickety. They need to be brought up to code, and you're going to have to pay for that if you want to buy the house at this price. And a lot of people, as long as you're upfront and honest about it, they're not going to have a hard time with it, and they're not going to come back after you. It's when you lie and when you try and hide things, that's where the problems come in, right?
Great. Thanks for your time.
No problem.
Thanks, Maria. So many texts coming in. If someone is using...
Sorry, I like this one.
Which one, the top one?
No, I like the other one.
Okay, you do that one then.
Okay, hold on. I have to clean it up, though.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, like I'm really going to say my next door neighbor is a beep house. Come on, man. Now, how would I divulge this? You divulge it by saying, hey, my next door neighbor is a beep house, and that's it, and let the people decide whether or not they want to buy the place or not.
However, the next text was, if someone's using a residential property for prostitution, it's up to police, as it is an illegal activity. But if people have high sex drives, there may be similar activities, but no money exchanging hands.
Exactly.
Unless you're there watching, maybe they're just,
Yeah, very true. Very true. Which we've had that as well, and that's okay. Eating a lot of spinach.
I don't know. I don't know what
from?
I just thought that was like a thing. I think I read it once. Eat a lot of spinach, and you want, you're frisky or. Moving right along. What happens if
your mother's watching?
I know. I don't even know. She says she is, but I feel like it's not on her typewriter, so she's
okay.
What happens if somebody dies in the house? Moving on to something less sexy.
Okay, so if someone dies in the house, you do have to divulge it if it is a what do they call it?
Murder?
Yeah, obviously, if it's a murder, if it's a suicide, if it's a violent death, it has to be declared.
Even a suicide?
Yes, even a suicide. So all these things need to be declared. However, and those, by the way, those things are very easily found out. So, if somebody gets murdered in a house and you don't declare it, and someone buys that house, and then all of a sudden one day they're like, hey, let's Google my house because I want to see what it looks like on Google Street View, and they see their Google Street View, and then right underneath it, 10 people were killed in a mass murder underneath it, you have a huge problem as the vendor. Okay, they can come after you, and they can actually force a judge to basically reverse the purchase, and then there's damages and all kinds of stuff that you're going to be having to pay. If there's a suicide, it's the same thing. It's easily found out. If someone dies of natural causes.
Well, that's like this text we just got. She forgot to put in what died. Natural death in the house. Real estate agent said because it was a natural death, we did not have to disclose it.
Yes, the OSC says that you don't have to declare it. However, more and more notaries and lawyers are telling people you should be declaring it. I think it's completely idiotic, to be honest with you. I mean,
to have to declare it.
Yeah, I mean, one of my properties was built in 1892. In the last 100 some odd years, that thing has been through the Great Depression. It's been through the Vietnam War. It's been through 2 world wars, and God knows what else it's been through.
People have died.
And there's a hell of a lot of people that have died in that place. I guarantee you, every time I walk into that place, I have like 10 people staring at me that are like, see-through.
Ghosts. There's definitely ghosts.
Okay. But am I going to sit there and declare, in 1938 there was someone? Right. I don't even know, So, True. By the way, if a house is haunted, you have to declare that as well.
You're making that up.
I am not making that up.
That's not even a thing.
If you feel the house is haunted, you have to declare it.
Houses are not haunted because ghosts don't exist.
Maybe. For you, they don't.
You really have to declare it?
You have to declare it, yes.
How do you know if it's haunted?
I declare that there is a poltergeist in this house. You do.
That is ridiculous. That's like something out of a horror movie.
Yep.
Have you ever had any experiences?
Did you ever see Amityville Horror?
No.
Yeah, see? Watch it, and you'll find out.
Have you ever had any experiences, either with ghosts or with clients that have
I have seen a declaration that said that the house has been haunted.
Marav's like, oh my God, you're going to say you saw a ghost, and this is just...
No, I'm not talking about our ghost stories, Marav, but I am talking about... I have seen a declaration where it actually said that the house was haunted. I kid you not.
Did you want to go check it out? I want to go check out this house.
I did.
You did go check it out?
No, I wanted to go check it. I didn't go check it out.
Oh, okay.
I don't want anyone following me home.
I get it. Not that they exist, but I get it.
So we have
we've gotten through
one question.
Yeah. So we're probably gonna have to touch on this more.
We'll do part 2 next week.
Right. Just as sexy, sex, drugs, and death. Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker, myself, Chantal Desjardins. And if you have any other questions for Terry after the show about ghosts or, brothels or any of the other fun things we touched on today, 514-680-4674 at Northeast Mortgages. Have a great week, everybody.
The opinions expressed in the preceding program were provided for general information purposes only and should not be construed as advice from CJAD 800 or Bell Media. Listeners should always consult their own real estate agent with questions or concerns.